Serving their community is who they are because they love where they live. REMAX 3D Real Estate is proud to bring you Heart of Greenville, a video series dedicated to celebrating all the wonderfully great things about Greenville, Texas. On every episode, Dennisha Denney will share Greenville's story through the stories of people who call Greenville home. This is Heart of Greenville.
Hey y'all, I'm Dennisha Denney, your host of Heart of Greenville, and today we're sitting down at the landmark on Lee Street on the 3rd floor at The Landing. And my special guest today is Mr. Kevin Banks. How are you today, Kevin?
I am great. How are you, Dennisha?
I am wonderful. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on the show.
Oh, my pleasure. I'm honored to be asked.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you. Okay, so I asked you before we hit start, what is your title? And you gave me this. I was like, you know what? I'm going to let you tell everyone what your title is.
Yeah, and as I told you, I just do whatever they tell me. But I am the Greenville Municipal Auditorium and Tourism Manager.
There you go.
For the city
That's
of
a
Greenville.
mouthful.
It is.
So listen, I'm always like, nope, he's just in charge of the GMA.
Yeah,
So
that's an easy way to look at it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Well, Kevin, I want to get to know you. So I've known you for years here in town, but I don't know like your history. Like, did you grow up here? And if not, how did you get here?
Yes, so actually I was born and raised in Greenville.
Yes.
My parents actually met at Wesley United Methodist Church through their friends. I got married there, and I was kind of born and raised in that church and here in town. And like most people, when they grow up and go off to college and graduate, they move away. So
Yes.
I didn't move that far. I just went to Dallas, and I was working for Sanger Harris, if you remember Sanger
Yes.
Harris Department Stores at that point. Was there for about 11 years, and I worked within Dallas and Fort Worth at various stores. And then it got to where I just didn't like it anymore. And I'm a big believer if you need to really, truly love whatever you do, and you're going to do a good job, a better job at it. It won't be like a job.
Exactly.
So
you
in the-
never work a day in your life when you love what you do.
Yeah. So in the back of my mind, I'd always wanted to work for Disney. And I thought, So, okay, I'll try this. So this was long before the days of internet where you could actually look anything up you wanted to on Google.
Right.
But I happened to be looking through the want ads in the Dallas paper one morning, and lo and behold, Walt Disney World was going to be in Dallas interviewing for jobs. But they were looking for culinary assistants.
Okay.
Not what I wanted to do, but I thought, well, you know what? This at least give me somebody to talk to. So I drove over to Dallas. I remember it was at Reunion Arena, or not the arena, but Reunion Center, where the
yes.
Reunion Tower and all is, the Hyatt. And I went in there, and this room was packed. There was like 500 people in this room. I was like, wow. And the Disney guy comes out and welcomes everyone and says, you know what, we're so happy you're here, but we're really looking for culinary assistants. But we figured there's some of you that are looking for something other than that. So we've actually booked the room next door. So if you're not looking for culinary, please leave at this point and go to that room. Dennisha, all but 6 people got up and left in the next room. I was like, wow.
That was actually probably smart on their move.
I
It was
think
crowd control.
Oh, yeah. And I think they probably had that experience many times.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so I went and found out kind of what they were looking for and what the process was. And
What were they looking for in that other room?
well, anything, because they were
Okay.
at that point. Walt Disney World went through a huge expansion. They had just opened the studio park, Disney's Hollywood Studios. They had just opened Pleasure Island. They just opened Typhoon Lagoon, and they were building more resort hotels. So they needed a lot of people. And they were telling us, interestingly enough, there were 4 criteria to work there. You had to have a Florida address, number 1, which you think is crazy, but so many people go on vacation and they want to stay.
Yeah.
But if you're serious, you've got a Florida address. So you had to have a Florida address. You had to have reliable transportation. You had to be available 24/7 because it never closes. And you had to be willing to abide by Disney's grooming guidelines, which are much more relaxed now than they were
Okay.
then. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so you did all that, and
Yeah, I got accepted into a special program that they had, and it was kind of like going back to college because I was living in what was essentially a dorm at an apartment complex just across the highway from Disney World. And my very first job was an attractions host on the Great Movie Ride at Disney's Hollywood Studios, and it was fun. I wouldn't have traded it for anything, so I learned so much about park operations and things from there. I went into guest relations from that standpoint because I saw these people walking around in plaid vests, and they had celebrities that they were taking around. And I'm like, well, I want that job. That looks like a lot more fun than what I'm doing.
did you have to keep repeating yourself all day long?
Oh, yes, all day long.
And be happy about it?
And be happy
Every
about it.
single time?
Yeah, all the time. Oh, yeah.
Was that hard?
It
that
is.
hard?
It is, but then you have to stop and think that it may be the 30th time that day for you, but for that guest in front of you, it's their first time.
First time.
And they're the ones that spend a ton of money to come on
Yes.
vacation to get the experience.
How do you keep remembering that in your mind, though? I mean, that actually takes a lot of grit to do that. Because not every day do you wake up in the happiest of moods and
True.
ready to say the same thing 35 times.
True. Disney has a really great training program when you first start called Traditions,
Okay.
and they really ingrain in you what you're about to become a part of. And it's bigger, way bigger than any one person.
Right.
And it's a really, really great program. But now I was just so excited to be there anyway.
Right.
So for me, it was
Right.
fine. I didn't care. But
That is really cool.
yeah, but the guest relations part was really fun. But I learned really quick, you don't just go into guest relations and get to take celebrities around. You have to pay your dues. So I had to work at I would call it the problem window. And it was really kind of funny because you're stationed like right outside the park gates, and people, if they come to you, they have a problem. They can't get in. Something's wrong with their tickets and they can't get into the park, or they've just got a crazy question.
What does it say on the window? Or is it
It says
just a
guest
natural
relations.
thing?
It says guest relations.
But does it
Yes.
say problems? I was like, I know this window doesn't say problems.
Yeah, no, guest relations. And but we would help people. We would learn all about how to resolve their issues, and 9 times out of 10 we could help them out, get them in the park with no problem. And after I'd done that for a while, then I finally got to be trained to be a VIP tour guide, which was really fun. And I have to say that I got to meet people that you would never ever get to meet otherwise. Like I spent the holidays with President Carter and his family one year and hosted them around Walt Disney World.
Way.
I was tour guide
What
to...
was that like? How you had to keep yourself in check and not be so
Well,
super excited the president's here?
I know. Well, the funny thing was I get a call the night before from the Secret Service, which is kind of freaky.
Yeah.
And they were just wanting to confirm things for the next few days, and I'm like, okay. So I obviously passed a background check, and there were 3 tour guides because they had a huge family plus all the Secret Service agents because they get protection for the rest of their lives. And but it was the best tour I've ever done because we had all of the park managers walking around with us with radios, and this is typical. They would say, Kevin, where do they want to go next? And I would say, let me check. And I'd say, President Carter, where would you guys like to go next? Oh, we don't care. What do you think we should do? Well, let's go do Star Tours. We haven't done that yet. That sounds great. We're going to Star Tours. So then they would get on their radios and call ahead, and by the time we got there, there would be a person waiting for us. They would walk us around to the back, and there would be a ride vehicle waiting. So we never had to wait for a line or anything.
Oh, that's perfect. That's that first class service.
It was.
From
It
Disney
was. Yeah.
That you expect.
It was amazing. Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah. So after doing that for a while and again, getting to meet a lot of people, I finally got into marketing, which is what my degree was in, and got to be part of the massive marketing machine for the Walt Disney Company and for Disney
Wow.
parks in particular. And I worked in an area called synergy, which was a big buzzword.
Right.
But at that point in time, it was a really big deal at Disney, and we worked with all the other business divisions of the Walt Disney Company and looked for their priorities. We shared what our priorities were, and then looked for where we can make 1 + 1 = 3. And it was fun because I got to know a lot of different people from throughout the company. I was out in L.A. a lot on business trips, a few trips to New York because we have offices in New York City as well.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. And it was fun. I learned a lot. And my ultimate job in that area was I got to be the movie guy. So my client, if you would, was the Walt Disney Studios and feature animation. So what I would get to do, I would go to L.A. or up in Emeryville where Pixar is, and I would get to screen our movies like a year or more in advance, and then we would come back and talk with all the different partners at Walt Disney World at the parks and figure out how are we going to bring the movie to life in the park. Like, which characters are we going to create? Are we going to do a show? Are we going to do a parade? Are we going to try to do an attraction? And that was fun.
How fun.
It was really fun.
That is so cool. And you got to see it all ahead of time.
I did, and it's amazing to see the difference
Yes.
and stuff. And I remember one of my favorite trips, I had to go to San Francisco to Emeryville because that's where Pixar is. It's right across the bay from San Francisco. And we went into their screening room, which is this big like stadium seating theater, but there's no seats. They're all oversized sofas on every row.
Oh, how cool.
And we're sitting there, and the director for this movie comes out, and he starts telling us literally line by line, here's the whole movie, here's the characters, and here's the plot, and here's what's going to happen. And it was Finding Nemo.
Oh.
And it was so, I remember sitting there just mesmerized thinking, this
Oh,
is going to
yeah.
be an incredible movie. And sure enough,
And it
was.
really was.
Oh,
I
it
still
was.
love that movie.
I do too. It was so good. So Have I bored you yet?
No, I'm so interested. Like, I didn't know this about you.
Yeah.
Now I'm learning about
Yeah.
Disney and
Yeah.
all these cool things
So-
that happen behind the scenes.
So from there, I got a job. I got an opportunity to go work for Disney Cruise Line, which was right there in Florida.
I've done that too. That's
It's
the coolest.
awesome, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's literally, I went from one building and one side of the promenade to the next building, and worked for Disney Cruise Line for about 4 years and doing the same type of thing, synergy and marketing. And in there, I also worked with partners that, Disney does these great deals with big, huge companies. They want to sponsor and promote things within the parks and have their name there. And one of the partners I was able to work with was Macy's. And I found out that Macy's, in the Macy's parade, the Thanksgiving Day parade, all the balloons are characters. There's never a balloon of anything else besides a character. And so I talked to our president at Cruise Line and said, you realize we're the only cruise line in the industry that could actually have a balloon in the Macy's parade, because we could have Mickey in it, And so I did more research, and everybody bought into it. And sure enough, I got a balloon, a Mickey Mouse balloon in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day parade, and got to carry it the first year it was in the parade.
You got to carry it?
Yeah. Yeah. It was so fun.
So cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, that was.
Man,
that was
that's
like
surreal.
a bucket list.
No kidding.
know?
That's a huge bucket list. Like, didn't even know it needed to be on the bucket list.
Oh yeah,
but,
and then
man.
we that was the first. While I was there, we took our first European voyages, and I got to go on our very first Mediterranean cruise. And I was working, and people say, "Yeah, right," but no, we were lugging camera gear and production equipment, because we knew we would be going back, but we didn't have any photos of like the ship in port or the shore excursions or things like that.
Right.
So we were there filming all that and shooting all that. But that was an amazing trip.
The fact you got to go was super cool,
yeah.
even though you were working.
I know. It was so much fun. And then shortly, I was there for 4 years, and then I got an opportunity to move to New York City and work for the Broadway division. So The Lion King, Mary Poppins, Newsies, which Greenville Family Theater is doing this year, and Aladdin. So I got to work on those 4 shows on Broadway, and was there in New York for about 4.5 years, and literally made the move from Manhattan back to Greenville.
No way. I know I'm sitting here going, how did Kevin get to Greenville? I mean, I know you were born here,
Yeah.
but how in the world you did the whole Disney thing, and then you're over in San Francisco, that direction, and then you're in New York, you're on the Mediterranean, and you live in Greenville, Texas.
Yeah.
Why?
Why?
Tell me why. I don't mean that in a negative way. I love Manhattan. It's one of my most favorite places to go.
Well, that was another bucket list thing, to get to live in New York.
Yes, it's on my vision
Yeah,
board.
it's-
I want a condo in Manhattan. Okay, this is my
So
dream
fun.
big thing, right?
Yeah, so fun.
I want to still live here. Let me set the record straight on
Yeah.
that. But I'd love to have a place I can go to.
A place
in
to get
Manhattan.
away. Yeah.
Well, we need to take a trip to New York. 'Cause
Absolutely.
You know all the places
I know
to go.
great restaurants and stuff, and they're
Yes.
still there, which
Yes.
is good. So anyway, how did I come back?
Yeah, how
Or
did you come back, and why did you come back?
So I'd been with Disney. I celebrated my 25th anniversary of 25 years at Disney, and I was looking at the retirement program and stuff, and I realized I could probably go ahead and retire early from Disney with full benefits. Like, I have lifetime passes to the parks, lifetime discounts at the hotels, at Cruise Line, great benefits. And I kind of was thinking, you know what? New York is so expensive to live here. It's great, but I've done pretty much everything I really wanted to do
Right.
at Disney at that point. And I thought, it's probably time to retire and go somewhere. And I thought, well, where would I move to? And I was really torn between moving back to Orlando, where all of my adult friends were,
Oh, true.
or coming to Greenville, where family was. And
Right.
obviously, family ended up winning out. And I'm
Family
like, you know
always
what?
wins,
Yeah, I want to
yes.
be there and see my nieces and nephews as they're growing up. And I remember I started seeing things on Facebook about things happening in Greenville, like Barbara Horan doing the Texan Theater. Matter of fact, she came to New York and visited with me once when she was in the middle of all that. So she was giving me a real good
cool.
preview of stuff.
You
I
got the inside track.
I did.
Super cool.
And I would see this guy named Byron Taylor.
Yes.
And all this stuff that he was doing. I thought, wow, that sounds really fun. And I kept thinking, I feel like that if I go back to Greenville, I want to be a part of all that, but I feel like I could actually make a contribution
Yes.
to that. Whereas going to Orlando, not as much, but in Greenville, I think I could be much more impactful here.
For sure.
Hopefully,
Yes.
So that's kind of how I end up coming back.
So social media, family obviously foremost,
Mm-hmm.
first and foremost, but then social media and seeing what was going on in Greenville
Right.
brought you back home.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is so cool. What year did you do that?
2015.
Okay.
So I've
when
been
you
back
said
6
Byron
years.
Taylor, he came here through Katrina,
Right,
which is how he
right.
got here. So I kind of knew that timeline, but I wasn't sure what year from there you came. So that is really cool. So when you decided I'm going to come back to Greenville, I'm going to go back to my roots and my family, what did you have in mind that you wanted to help, influence and change and bring to Greenville?
Well, that's really funny you asked that, because what ended up happening is not at all what my plan was, which is how it always
That's
goes.
how it always works.
Because somebody upstairs knows a whole lot better than I do about what I need to be doing.
He does.
Yeah. So my plan was to come back and start a consulting business. I thought with all my Disney experience, I think I can probably do really well here and do consulting with people on events, projects, marketing, things like that. Well, the first Sunday I came back, I went back to my church that I've always grown up in, and some folks there came up to me and said, "So you're back for good?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And they said, "Well, there's this job at the city that's just opened up, and they're interviewing literally this week, and you'd be really good for it. I mean, you've got qualifications like nobody else has." I said, "Well, what is it?" They said, "Well, it's managing the auditorium and tourism for the city." I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, I think I could probably do that." I mean, I worked in a theater. I've never managed one before, but I worked in a theater. And I thought, well, okay, so I got the job description and filled out an application. And literally that Friday I interviewed and was offered the job the very next Monday.
Oh, wow.
So my whole plan changed completely. And it's funny, one of the main reasons I wanted to do this, I was like, well, at least I'll get insurance. I don't have to worry about that part.
Right. And check that box.
Yeah, but I have to say that it was all God. It was totally a God thing, because the people that I've been able to meet and interact with through this job, it would have taken me forever to get to meet them.
True.
And to get to know them. And I immediately got thrust into a lot of different activities and events and just all kinds of stuff. But it was great because, you know what, I did kind of what I wanted to do, just a different route to get there.
Right.
Because I wanted to be ingrained back in the community and do things. So, yeah.
When are we going to have our own Macy's Day Parade in Greenville, Texas? Now that I know you know how to do it, I'm like, okay, Kevin, we got to step up. I mean, I love our Christmas parade.
Yeah.
That we have every year. Did you bring that? It's like in the Macy's Day Parade. Wait a minute. This is all connecting for me. I love how you set out. Two people were sitting outside the Municipal Auditorium a couple of years ago and were like on the radio, like describing what they were seeing and talking about each float as they drove by.
Yeah,
Did you do
that was not me. No,
okay.
That was not me. I cannot take credit for that, but that's a great thing. I was happy to see that. Yeah.
It was. It was.
Well, I got to tell you, that parade, wow, at Macy's,
Yes.
it takes a full 2 hours to walk it. And try doing that
Really?
carrying a balloon.
And carrying a balloon.
Yeah.
Those balloons are huge.
They are huge. And you have to go through special training before you can carry one.
I'm sure.
And I learned way more than I ever wanted to know about balloons, Macy's balloons, doing that project. But it was funny because I had one of the things that they never teach you in college. I'm in a meeting at Disney Cruise Line with 3 vice presidents and the president of the division and some other people, and we are having an argument over what Mickey Mouse should wear in the balloon. And I was just sitting there, I never thought I'd be in a meeting like this.
College can't prepare you for that.
No, there's just some things that's only life experience, and yeah.
Exactly. So what did Mickey end up wearing?
That was a long story too. I had to go through corporate Disney brand in Burbank on the studio lot, and they were adamant that Mickey should not be the captain, which we always had him as the captain of the ship on cruise line, because they felt that at that point Mickey had been made too much of the corporate icon, and they wanted him to become more this playful, fun character that he always was. And that's about the time that the new Mickey Mouse animated shorts were coming out, which you still see a lot of those now. And so they let him be Sailor Mickey. Oh. So he had his red shorts with the big yellow buttons, and we had a little blue sailor jacket with a blue and white striped shirt and a little sailor hat.
Aww.
And he looked good. He looked great. And we had a costume made for a walk around for Mickey to wear, actually, in real life, because he appeared at a few events for Macy's and for Cruise Line wearing that. So
how fun.
It was fun.
Do you miss Disney?
All the time.
I bet.
I do. It was just such an incredible, creative company to work for, and the things that I was able to be a part of. And I tell people this all the time. I am blessed beyond words. I've gotten to do so many things that people just dream of doing, and I got to do them.
Yes.
A lot of them.
Yes.
And and I still keep up with so many of those folks from Disney because they were lifelong friendships. That was part of it that I didn't bargain for.
Right.
Was these friendships that I would make that would literally last a lifetime. Matter of fact, one of my old bosses, she and I do regular conference calls just to check up. We have to schedule them because our schedules are both insane. But and we'll be on the phone for an hour or two. Just here's what's going on,
Yes.
Here's how this person's doing and that person. And she and her husband actually even came and stayed at my house one year when they did a road trip through Texas a few years ago. And yeah, it was great to see him. But yeah, I do miss it. I miss it.
I bet. Okay, Kevin, how do we take your experience and bring that to downtown Greenville? How do we animate and make something super magical in downtown Greenville?
Well, that's one of the things that I really do want to be a part of is creating a major renaissance for downtown. Because I will tell you, not just downtown, but Greenville overall has so much potential. It really, really does. There's so much great potential here, and I feel very honestly that with our new mayor, I think that Jerry has some really good ideas and some good thoughts. And I'm not saying anything bad about Mayor Dreiling. I love Mayor Dreiling. He was fantastic for our community. And I still get to go to church with him, so I get to see him all the time, he and Tony, which is great. But, sometimes having a changeover in leadership, because basically the whole council is almost all brand new right now. So I'm hoping that there might be some shifts in thinking on because everyone's always concerned about a budget.
Right.
And that's the big thing. And it is expensive. I mean, no matter what we do, it's going to cost some money. But there are low-hanging fruit.
There is.
That we can go after. And I've got a lot of ideas, but a lot of people do too.
Yes.
And I think it's just getting all these folks together and let's come up with a plan, a real bona fide plan that we can execute. And I think that there's going to be a great opportunity to really see a renaissance in downtown.
That is awesome. Here's what I love about this. I didn't know your history. And so you telling me now this and me understanding where you came from, and you have 25 years of experience with Disney, I'm like, maybe we should listen to see what Kevin has to say. Because you've done this before, you've experienced it. And so I'm so glad we're able to share your story with other people so they can get to know that about you.
Well, thank you.
And so, man, a huge asset to us here in Greenville to have that talent come back home to us.
Well, I appreciate that, but I have to say, there's a whole lot of incredibly talented people in this town.
Yes.
And that's one of the things I love about Greenville the most is there's such a variety of people with such incredible talents, and we live in one of the most generous communities
Amen
ever.
to that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, just the all of the volunteers and the volunteer opportunities, the fundraisers and things, and people are always opening up their pockets and giving their time, and you just don't get that everywhere.
No.
You
don't. I mean, you get people who are friendly, you get people who are involved, but it's the generosity of their time, but the major financial generosity that can come forward too. And from unexpected ways. It may be from individuals that don't necessarily plug in, but they find something that touches their heart and they're willing to really give, and cool things happen in our community with that.
They do.
Oh, I just love that so much.
Yeah, I do too. It's one of the fun things about living here.
Okay, so this is so random, not on topic at all, but I saw your ring just now. Will you tell me about that? It's super cool. I'm like, this means something.
Yeah, so this is a service award from Disney. And you have your options on multiple things, and I decided I wanted the ring.
Okay.
But it has...
It's like a class ring. It says 1989 on it.
It is. That's the year I started at Disney.
Oh.
And I think my name or initials or whatever on the inside, and it's got Mickey Mouse on the top.
Yes, your initials.
Yeah. So it's
in 9789.
That's when I started.
That's
the day
cool.
that I started.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Okay, sorry, didn't mean to derail.
You
were doing a great job about talking about what you love about Greenville. Let's go back to that.
Let's look at your ring.
I know, squirrel. I know. I was like, but there's going to be a story with this ring. That's not a typical ring I see every day.
Yeah.
So, you have something really cool that is going to be announced.
Yeah.
And so let's talk about that. And it happens to occur in downtown Greenville in the month of October, and I'll let you tell our audience the rest of it.
That's right. So by the time this airs, it will be old news at this point. But for today, when we're recording, it's great news.
It's new news. I'm so excited.
So I am going to be the newest Big Boob for Bras for the Cause.
Yay!
And very, very excited about that. Dana Cash has stepped down, and she did such an amazing job. I mean, she's the one that got Dolly Parton to appear last year on video, which was phenomenal.
Yes.
And they needed someone, and I was talking to a couple of the folks that I know that are within that group and said, so do you have to be female? Because I've only seen ladies do this.
Right.
And they're like, no, why? I said, well, I think it'd be fun. I said, I love this event, and I'd love to help be a part of it. And they're like, really? I'm like, sure. So some discussions were had, and so yes, I get to be the newest Big Boob, although I prefer to be called the Big Bro.
Okay, I was going to ask, do you want to be referred to as the Big Boob? How do we refer to you, Kevin?
Yeah, I'm hoping it's going to be the Big Bro.
The Big Bro.
Yeah.
Well, let's set that right now. We'll make this the trend right here. You're going to be the Big Bro.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
The Big Bro to the Big Boobs.
That's right.
Congratulations. Honestly, man, that's huge. And I love that you're the first guy to do that. And you're going to bring so much to the table to that group. And I love how every year it gets more and more and more. And it gets taken to different levels.
It does.
Incredible. And I mean, hats off to Janine Cunningham,
Yes.
She was on our show several months back, and we were talking. It's like she has done so much for this community, and people don't even know it.
Yeah, it's funny. Before I moved back, someone reached out to me and said, you need to meet Janine Cunningham when you move back.
Yes, they were right.
They were.
She's phenomenal. So we've got to all step up our game.
Yeah.
She blazed the trail for us, so we got to keep it going.
Totally. And she's still so involved in things, and we are all the better for that.
Yes.
That she's got her hands in it.
Just another one of the people in our community that make it so wonderful.
It is. But but yeah, I love Bras for the Cause. It's a great event, and as you said, it will happen in October. The August, I don't have the date on the top of my head, but in August we'll have the big kickoff party to get people making their bras.
And then we learn the theme then as well, right?
Actually,
in August?
When this airs, you will know the theme.
Oh, you're going to tell that? Is that today? You're telling that too?
Yeah, tonight.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
tonight. So I guess I can go ahead and say it.
Can you tell me?
I guess I can say it because
nobody's going to
see this
until after it's already unveiled.
Yeah. So
what is it?
The theme for this year is Brastalgia.
No way!
And we are going to take you back through the decades, from the
Yes.
1920s to the 2010s, or 20-teens. That's a weird thing to say.
Oh, yeah.
And those are the categories. So each decade will be a category that you can enter a bra into.
My wheels are already turning.
Oh, you've never had so many choices as you're going to have this year for what to do. And we try to help. So within the categories, we've given a lot of suggestions like these were the top movies that year, the top TV shows, the top sporting events, the best toys, most popular toys, the big TV personalities or movie personalities, and then just some general fashion things that were going on. So it's going to be really fun. Like I said, people have never had the variety that they're going to have this year for what they can come up with and create, because pretty much anything goes.
Yes, that, and everybody can get back out now.
Yeah,
and so they're.
It is going to be a live event again this year.
Listen, just go ahead and close down the streets. Like, just go ahead and close them down. Go ahead and turn that into TxDOT.
Yeah,
because that's going to be a huge event.
It's going to be so much fun. Oh yeah, and I think that, and I was still blown away that this past year with the pandemic and doing it all virtual, they still made over $80,000, which is unbelievable. Again, it goes back to the generosity of this community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Kevin, we've had the best conversation. Okay, I have to ask you the random question because our time is running out. You picked the number 4.
Yes.
And here's your number 4 question. What is your all-time favorite memory?
Wow.
I have so many other questions I wish I could ask you, but that's the one.
That's the rules and how it has to go.
I made the rules. I should play by the rules.
Oh, that's a hard one.
Your all-time
favorite memory. See, if I don't say anything about my family, I'm going to hear about it from my sisters.
Okay, so let's do that. Because that was the part I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, we really didn't talk about your family in that part. So let's do an all-time favorite memory with your family.
Okay. Wow. I've had a lot of good memories. I have an amazing family. I really do. Very blessed with that as well. So this is going to sound morbid, but one of my very fondest memories was my mother was in the hospital, and she was probably not going to make it. And she did, and she ended up passing away.
Oh, I'm so
but
sorry.
I remember the last night that she was alive, something just came over me, and I just said, you know what? I'm going to stay with her all night, because you know what? If it were me laying in that bed, she would be there with me, and by golly, I'm going to be there for her. So Dad felt a little guilty. He's like, well, I'll stay too. I'm like, you don't have to, but he did.
Right.
So Dad was sitting in the chair that night in the little recliner in the hospital room, and Mom was, on the bed, and I was just kind of taking care of both of them. Like, I made sure he got comfortable, and he finally settled down and went to sleep. Mom was not really there at that
Right.
point. And but it was one of the sweetest memories I ever have of having that night to kind of take care of both my parents. I got to say everything I wanted to say to Mom, and it was just, I don't know, it was very sweet.
The sweetest memory.
Yeah, it was. It was
Yay.
just, it was one of my all-time favorite evenings. And
It's your complete closure.
Yeah.
You know, when you get to say goodbye. I got to say goodbye to my dad, and it just there's a peace about that. There's
There
a comfort
is.
about that. And so you were blessed
Yeah.
to get to do that.
I was.
for sure.
I was.
And man, and she must have been so proud of you.
I hope.
I mean, well, I'm proud of you. I love hearing your story and all the things you did, but I know your mom would have been too. So
Well, thank
I
you.
love that. That says a lot about your heart, making sure you were there for your mom.
Yeah.
In those last moments and there for your dad too. So
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you so much. Thank you for sharing so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
So
Thank you for having
I don't
me.
know. Someday we may have to have a part 2.
Sure. You know me. I can talk.
You have it down. But hey, you're interesting. You have great stories. So
Well, good. As long as I don't put people to sleep, that's what all I
Nope.
care about.
Nope, I wasn't asleep, so we're good.
Good.
Well, Kevin, thank you so much for being on the show, and I look forward. I want to see that parade, that Macy's Day parade.
I know, you wanna see a big parade with balloons.
We're putting that out there. I'll
All
put
right.
a REMAX balloon out there. I'll be
Oh,
the
I know
first
you
one
will.
in, so
Yeah, I know you'll participate. Yeah.
absolutely. Well, thank you again, Kevin.
Thank you, Dennisha. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for watching Heart of Greenville. This video series, which is designed to celebrate Greenville, Texas, is spearheaded by REMAX 3D Real Estate.